Hi guys, welcome back to the Plan Your Novel in Notion series. I am E. Hadley Wright, and I'm chasing my dream of becoming a successful published author and bringing you along with me. I've tried about a million ways to track, organize, and plan my novels, but I've settled on a good process I like in Notion. Certainly not the only tool that I use, but it is very helpful in certain ways, and I thought I'd share how I use it in case it's helpful for anyone else. In our last video, we worked on building our database from scratch. We added a bunch of properties that can be helpful for your novel. So if you want to learn how to customize these and some ideas on how to use them, click back over and watch that video first. And then in today's video, we are going to work on creating an actual scene card down here in the bottom section and a template so that each time you create a new scene card, it will auto-populate so that you don't have to create it from scratch each time. So we're going to go ahead and start with that. I'm going to give you a few different, a few different options for how you want to format this, because not everyone uses the same exact kind of scene card, right? Like there's different ways that you can use them. So to begin, we're going to come over here to this new, but we're just going to click the arrow and we're going to create a new template. So I'm going to click there. And now, personally, I like to add an icon to these pages. So I'm going to click, I just hover over the right above the title and it'll appear. Click, it's going to what is it called? Default to something random. You can use actual classic emojis. I always use icons because it's just a little classier. I like the continuity of the color scheme and everything. So I'm going to use this dashed circle. If you couldn't tell, I was working on my meal plan earlier today, so that's why I have all these food ones here. But we're going to use a dashed circle for our icon. And what I like about this is that as you work through, you can, I just was typing in circle here, you can choose different different progress of the circle. So once you like, this is just like we're planning this scene now. Once we start, we can change it to this icon or this icon, whatever stage you feel like. You can have a visual representation of that in the icon if you so choose. Otherwise, it's just kind of like an empty bullet point. I like that anyways. You can change the color as well if you would like. I actually like to have this as light gray. That's just a personal preference. You can change it to whatever you'd like. And you can also add a cover, but I'm not going to do that on the template. I added the icon now so that each time I create a new one, it will generate this same icon and they'll all match with the same status, visual status there. And you can do that for anything here. So I want this new, when I'm clicking new, creating a new scene card, I want it to default to not started. I don't want it to have something in order. It's always going to be a different beat or part of the story. If you only have one POV, you might not even want to have this as an option. You might not need to track that. But if you have like 90% of the scenes from one POV, then you can choose that. Now, whatever you put here is basically going to generate on every time you click a new document. So I usually leave these all blank. What we're going to do is customize this section here. So basically this is essentially a Word document. If you're brand new to Notion, some of this is going to look a little strange, but if you do exactly what I tell you, then you will get you'll get the right result, and you'll kind of learn as you go what we're creating here. Okay, so we're going to start down here. I'm going to create first the kind of scene card that I use personally. So this might not be exactly what you like to use. We are going to start with a toggle heading. So if you do a slash and start typing toggle, T-O-G, all the toggles are going to start generating up here for you. So I'm going to choose toggle heading number 2. This is what I like to use. If you want it bigger, you can use heading 1. If you want it a little smaller, you can use heading 3. I like to just go right in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that first. Now this is where we're going to add the title of the page. Again, I left that blank because it's going to be different every time. So here I'm going to basically leave it blank as well, but I'm just going to write in the title. You can add the POV if you have different POVs, and you might want to also write in the timeline. I'm just going to write etc. here. Anything that's going to help you identify key information about the scene, because this is what we're going to pull into our ultimate outline in the last video. So you might want to play around with what you're going to call this here, but this can be just the title if that's what you want to plan. But once we click this little arrow, it's going to pull down this little section. And once we type, let's say we're going to type something, you can toggle it back away. So that's a way I like to use a toggle header rather than just a regular header. I like the clean organization of being able to hide away all of my details. And you can use as many layers of toggles as you like. Again, I'm going to start with slash, and then I'm going to write toggle again. A toggle list is the same thing. You can say item 1, item 2, and then write information down here, and we're going to hide this away as well. So you can keep going and keep going as long as you want. I'm going to go ahead and delete those off. And what I am going to do is create a basically the exact form I have. So I start with a slash, and I want a bulleted list. So I'm going to start typing bulleted, BU, and I see it here. I'm going to go ahead and click it. I want this to be with a bullet list. You don't have to add that part, but I do. So the first thing I'm going to put here is a summary. Now, if I hit Shift Enter, it's going to give me a blank line, and that's what I like to do. So I like to do one blank line so there's a space between the summary and this next part. So I did a Shift Enter to get to the next line, and now I'm just going to hit Enter to give me my next bullet. And now I'm going to track what is my character's goal, and then Enter for the next bullet. I want to know what the conflict is, and this also could be called the obstacle. Some people or some methods will use that terminology instead. Either way. And then the next is going to be the climax. And then also the resolution or change. So however, you can use your own terminology if you want, but this is going to give you a complete scene, right? A lot of times when you are going back for revision, you'll read through a scene and feel like it's not working, and it turns out there's been no change in your story in that scene, or the character didn't have a clear enough goal, like nothing really happened, they didn't really want anything, we didn't really care. So as long as you have your character wanting something that's conflicting against it or getting in their way, some kind of action that happens, basically something happens between their goal and their conflict, like they interact with it in some way, and then where I like to think of this as like the beat of the scene, like this is the reason the scene is there, is my climax. And then we've got our resolution change. So this is how I do mine, and then I also will hit Enter. It'll be another bullet. I just hit Enter again a couple of times until I get a blank line, and then I'm going to have a toggle. You can do a heading 3 if you want. I'm just going to do the list, and I'm going to name this Notes. I like to make this bold. Again, you could just do the heading, but I didn't. And right now, it's not connected underneath here, but if I drag it upwards right underneath the resolution, see how the whole thing turned like blue, it highlighted? If I drop it there, it now is underneath there. So that is how I like to organize my own scene card. Now, as another example, I'm going to just create another one. We are going to do now the same thing. I'm just going to copy this here. And when I drop this down, this one I actually can't create inside of this area because I'm going to have multiple columns. So I'm just going to create it down below and drag it in after, which I can show you here in just a second. So this is going to be the Story Genius scene card. So she likes to start, Lisa Cron, she likes to start with the alpha point. And I'm going to put this as maybe a heading 3. Okay, and one thing you can do is if you click these dots here, you can change the color. I like to sometimes use the background colors here. I'll use gray or brown. You can also change the text color. You can't have both. You can choose either the background color or the text color change. But I'm going to go ahead and do a gray background here for alpha point. And then I'm going to build out the scene card. So the way I like to do it is I like to have boxes around each little section. It just looks nicer. So you don't have to do it this way. You can skip this part of it, but I'm going to use the call out feature. And I already have it set for this, but let me type in. So the first box for the scene card is what happens. So this is the plot. What happens in the scene? And down below this, I'm going to do the exact same thing, a call out, and this one's going to be the consequence. Now, in order, you can change this. So you can make yours, I have mine highlighted to default background. Because it's a call out, it's still giving me that outline, but you can change it to be fully gray if you'd like, or any other color you like. That's how I got it to look like this. Specifically, I wanted to show you, this is how I always use it, so it defaulted. But in order to get these into columns, I'm just gonna grab this here and drag it all the way to the edge until I see this blue line next to the other box. When I drop it, it automatically puts it into 2 columns. So here's the top of my scene card, and I'm going to do the rest here as well. So same thing, slash until we get to call out. This is why it matters. Same thing, I'm going kind of fast. And also, in her scene card, she has and so in the same one. Oop. I like to do it separately. So I have mine this way. You can italicize this if you want. Basically, in order to type in here, you'll need to do like inside the box. If you hit enter, okay, that works actually. So that's fine. You just hit enter and they will get bigger. You just type inside those boxes and that'll work out. So that's the Lisa Cron Story Genius scene card. And if you want, you could even add the headers too. So if we did like a heading 3, these are the cause column, and this is, let's do heading 3. This is the effect column. So you can add this into, you can even change this to be gray maybe. And you could, if you highlight the text, you could change it to bold. You could italicize if you'd like, something like that. So now you'll see this is not under our toggle like we wanted. So I'm going to highlight everything. So just kind of start off here on the side, highlight everything, and then we can drag it up there and it will stay in that format. So now we can hide it. So let's try another one. Some people won't like that kind of scene card. So we can try another one. Another one I like, we're going to start with the same. We're going to have which scene this is at the top. And then we're going to go with Sanderson's way, okay? So you can do a bulleted list. Again, I do bulleted list for everything, but we can do, what are the promises being made in this scene? Is there any progress being made? And what is the payoff? Not every scene is going to have everything here, but you know, at the beginning, you're going to be promise heavy. In the middle, you're going to be progress heavy. At the end, you're going to be payoff heavy. But it's nice, you know, this is a very clear, intuitive way to kind of see the movement of your story and making sure that you are delivering on these promises. As you revise, you can go back and say, oh crap, I made this promise and I don't think I ever got any payoff on that. So, you know, this can be helpful to track as well. So there's Sanderson's way. Again, you can add a notes section here at the bottom as well. I, again, like to do it as a toggle list, and then just call it notes. And you can tuck that right in underneath. You can also add notes to this one as well. And then, again, you can just have another option. Toggle heading is just a bullet point like beat sheet here as well. So let's try a different kind of list. Let's do a numbered list. So if you type in /num for number, we'll pull in a numbered list. And let's say we can just leave it like this for the template. But as you work on it, it'll be beat, 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 whatever the beats are that you are working on. And also, if you do a tab, it'll tab in. You can do description or detail. So same with the bulleted points. If you wanted to do an extra pay, like here's payoff number 1, detail. You know, they do nestle in. Nestle, is that the right word? They do nestle in like that. So let's, you can choose whichever one is most intuitive to you. I want you to choose that one, and you can create your own template down here. I am going to just leave all of them for now. And as all we have to do to save this is click off. And we do want to make sure we come back up to the arrow and click the 3 little dots next to this new page we just created. We can tell because of our little icon. And we're going to set this as our default. And you can choose to only be when I'm in this view of this table, this is my default, but I'm going to set it for everything. Anytime I create a new page in this database, it's going to generate my scene card. So now I've already made this one. How do I get it in? As long as I haven't written anything yet in this bottom section, it'll tell me what all of my templates are down here. I can go straight up empty, or I can select this new page, and it's going to not delete anything here, but it is going to add my little icon, which is nice. So then you'll see it generated exactly what I had in that template file. So I can just get to work typing in my notes down here and fill that in to my heart's content. So this is basically what I wanted to show in this portion of the video. We're almost at 20 minutes, so I feel like that's a good stopping point. In the next video, we're going to talk about the different views. We can click back over here. This is what it's going to look like when we're all done. But next video, we're going to talk about how to get these different views and how to use them, what they can be useful for. And then finally, we're going to put together a master outline where we can view the details of those scene cards we just created without having to click into each and every one of these. So right now we'll have to click in here in order to read what this detail is. We're going to create a bird's eye view master document that includes this information from every scene card we create. It's a little bit of a manual process, but for me, it's worth it because my brain works like that a lot of the time. Sometimes I just need to see the scenes right next to each other at the same time, basically. So yeah, stick around if you're interested in that. If you have any specific requests or concerns or anything you're struggling with that you think Notion might be able to help with, I'm happy to troubleshoot with you about that, give you some brainstorming ideas for that. And yeah, otherwise, make sure you're subscribed if you don't want to miss the next video. It'll be out in about 2 weeks. And yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to thumbs up if you found any value in this video, and I will see you again next time. Ciao.